Yes, indeed.
What's some of the challenges for doing an animated picture where you are, without some of your arsenal?
Got it. Well, I've done a lot of this animated stuff. The vocal performance is fun. I grew up with a voice and always liked using it in any way I could. So, I used to do impressions and stuff like that. So you just like to get as colorful as you can. In this case, this character, Blinky, is kind of... he's sort of professorial in a lot of ways, but he's also energetic. He is the keeper of the secret of good and evil, of the two worlds interfacing. Man's world and the troll world, and he knows that his obligation is to save both through this young man by teaching him how to become the troll hunter.
You've played so many different kinds of roles in your career. What attracted you to this part particularly?
Well, Guillermo, and it's just I like working. It's like that sounds like fun. I'll try it. Right. It's pretty simple, really. I read a little writing sample and thought, I could play that guy. It usually comes out of that.
What is the great and unique thing about working with Guillermo?
Well, the unique thing was, in this case, he said that he never pictured anybody else playing the role but me, so that was very helpful. He's got a great imagination. Honestly, what's fun about any of these really creative guys that have a kind of a pedigree of doing off-the-wall stuff, you just like to crawl around in there with them in the sandbox and play. It's not unique that he has this gift, but it is rare, and it's always fun to work with the rare ones.
I apologise for my voice.
It's all right.
Bad cold, sorry. Having obviously been involved in some long-running shows in a very traditional weekly format, how do you feel about Netflix? The fact that people will probably binge watch the show and other shows.
Right.
Obviously, it's a very different relationship to a show.
Yeah, we argue about this stuff all the time. I've done some producing through the years, and the networks years ago said we need to have standalone episodes, which meant they didn't have to come in any particular sequence, that they weren't laid out in some kind of arc storyline. And that was a real concern in the 90s when we were doing Frasier, for instance. And it really worked for Frasier, though, because then he could fall in love with 400 women and have it not work out with anybody. But this idea of binge watching, I think, has caught on primarily because there's another piece of the story that's going to be advanced with each episode. And that may be kind of what defines it, honestly, the serial nature of it. I mean, we used to do serials, soap operas were always serials. I mean, I did some soap work years ago, which I think is the hardest work in our profession. When I'd watch a show and tune in 4 months later, and in terms of sequence, it was maybe 3 minutes later in the storyline. I thought, how do they do that? But I think that's what kept people going back. It's like, oh, we got to see what's going to happen to, and I think that's the nature of the binge watching thing.
Are you a binge watcher yourself?
Not particularly, I like to get out of the couch once in a while.
What do you find the biggest differences between voice acting and on-camera acting?
It's just the vocal requirement is just bigger. It's you don't have the same luxury of knowing that a look is going to convey something. Somebody may draw that and animate it, and that's great. When I did Toy Story 2, John Lasseter was in the booth, and I did a particular reading, and he stopped and he ran out of the booth and said, "Oh my God, I can't wait to animate that." So I thought, well, that's a unique kind of way of looking at things. But he's another really creative guy. That kind of energy that he has, very similar to Guillermo. It's the same thing. It's just a vision that is unique and rare, and but playful. Always trying to tell a good story, tell a story that makes people care about things, and I think this achieves that a lot.
Is it easier to work with these guys?
It's easy to work with anybody. We all have our story, our horror story about somebody that was hard to work with. They're really few and far between.
nostalgia is a huge seller in today's generation, and we see revivals of shows coming back all the time. Has there been any talk about revivals of any of your past shows, or is there one that you particularly like to revisit?
Well, there's been Cheers and Frasier. People have mentioned it. I'm not sure anybody wants to do it. So I think it sort of dies right there. It's like pops its little head up and everybody goes like, yeah. Right. So that would be it. Those would be the shows. Yes. Thank you guys.